What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Do You Have a Moment? I am your host, Stephen Williams, and today I have one question for you, and that is, do you have a moment to talk about music in video games? Yeah, I know, kind of a weird, topic to do, but it's actually something that I've actually thought about a lot, because when it comes to playing video games, there is nothing better than listening to a good soundtrack while you're playing those games. And it can just completely change your experience of, how you're feeling, how the moment is, and just it emphasizes everything that's going on with it. And most of the time, video game music does go amiss. Most people don't even notice that it's there. They just, play the game. Sometimes people even turn off the music, which you kind of people shouldn't be here, because the music is half of the joy of playing the video game. It's just getting lost in the fantasy world or wherever you are and what you're doing in there. But the biggest thing about video game music too is the fact that a lot of themes and a lot of video game franchises, they actually, they create themes. They have themes that are consistent throughout all their games. It's always the same theme, the same motif for each one of the games. And one of the things I've always thought about is, why are there no college courses for this? If you're majoring in music or something like that, why is there no college course for analyzing music in video games specifically? I mean, there's college courses that, go into movies, go into theater. There's even college courses where you could just do an entire breakdown of the Beatles. And I'm like, yeah, there's no classes about, music in video games? To me, that just seems crazy. And if I actually knew a lot more about music, like the actual, terminology and all that kind of stuff for a lot of parts of music, then I would try to go be that professor and run it myself. But here I am instead doing a podcast here at Studio 519. But anyway, so what I wanted to do in this episode was kind of just break down a couple composers that I know from video games. There's tons of them. I could spend hours doing this if I really wanted to, but I want to break down a couple composers and their music and their video games and the themes and all that kind of stuff that they put into it. And so the first one that I really wanted to talk about in this episode is Marty O'Donnell. So if that name sounds familiar to anyone, it's because he is actually the composer for the Halo franchise, at least for the first handful of games. I don't think he's done anything since Halo 4, maybe? I'll have to double check on that. But he was the one who created the original themes for Halo. And growing up, when Halo came out, I was 11 years old or 10 years old, something like that. And I remember I got hooked into the game just by the menu, before the game even started. And the reason for that was because, it's called Combat Evolved because it was a first-person shooter, and it was supposed to be hey, it's something you've never really seen before. It's different. It's on the new Xbox, the series that just came out, after the N64 and PlayStation. And it was just going to be jumping in and just seeing what it's all about. And I remember when that menu popped up, it elicited so many emotions and feelings in me as a kid. Just because, it's a shooter game. You would expect to be dun 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 dun, kind of more like how Battlefield's theme goes with the bump 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 bump. But it wasn't. Instead, you got this theme, and everybody knows this theme. They usually do. Even people who aren't Halo fans should know it because it's always made fun of, from people who are in bathrooms or in stairwells, with a group of people where if all of you do the singing Gregorian chant, it sounds like the Halo theme. So I'm going to just play a little snippet here for you because I kind of want to show you just what the menu looks like and the music that came from it. All right, so let's give it a shot. Now, imagine booting up a brand new gaming system with a brand new video game, and that's the menu you see. That's what I felt. And again, all you get is this chanting music and this giant ring world floating in space with no other context. There's no like pre-cinematic or preview of what it is. It's just you load up the game and there you are, right in front of you. And it's just like so hauntingly beautiful. And of course, you know, with the Halo themes, another one of the main ones that most people know is, of course, the theme. Sorry, I forgot to look this up because I'm a terrible host. One of the biggest themes from Halo that everybody usually knows is the Warthog Run music from the original game. And that theme is more like an action-packed thing, but in the moment in the game, when you're at this point, you're basically outrunning an exploding ship trying to get to the end, and so it's like, you need something that's gonna like get you going. Like stuff is exploding around you, aliens are around you, you're just like driving past them because everything's being destroyed and you just have to get away. And so you get this theme, which is probably the most addicting theme from Halo, so let's give this a listen real quick. So just like that, I mean, that elicits so much emotions as you're playing the game and you're rushing out of that exploding ship. And it's just Marty O'Donnell, like just understanding the moment, understanding the situation, understanding what you're going through is just so well done. And he has a lot of other stuff, obviously, from the soundtrack. And I'm going to just play my other favorite one here from this. Oops, sorry, not that one, still playing. But this is actually another one of my favorite ones from the soundtrack, which is this level, it's at night, and you're trying to sneak aboard a Covenant ship, like the alien ship, and you're just sneaking around and just trying to like dodge patrols and all that kind of stuff. And so it almost kind of gives almost like a 007-y, like sneaking through the night theme. That's what's crazy about that theme too, is it actually builds more and more as you go. And it's just like, if when you're playing the game and you are sneaking around in the dark, like that theme right there is just like, it's very hauntingly beautiful, because of course you're seeing the night sky, you're seeing the halo ring towering above you, like overhead. That side's illuminated because it's nighttime on your side of the ring, so that side is really bright because the sun is reflecting off of it. And it's just like, just the environment and the feelings. And that's what Marty O'Donnell kind of wanted to get across with it, was he wanted to, like, you're there fighting a battle, but you're on this mysterious world where you don't know what's going on or where you are or what this ring even is. And so he wanted to give that sense of mystery into the Halo franchise, and it's just beautiful. And he went on to, you know, do the music for the other games too, Halo 2 and Halo 3. And this is where I'm talking about where video game themes and motifs and stuff like that, where it's the same beat, the same concept, but you remix it a little bit. And so this was the theme for Halo 2. It's like just adding a little bit more to the theme, and it just changes exactly how you feel. Like that was way more like than the original login music, which is just like the chanting and just the chanting. And then Halo 3 even mixes it up again by doing the same thing, but instead of doing like the electric guitar, it changes up the instrument to, again, a different instrument. So the next thing I wanted to talk about was just talking about motifs again, like, you know, just the repetitive of a certain theme that carries on between different songs. And in the last episode, we were talking about World of Warcraft and Anduin Wrynn specifically. And his theme is one of those that can just be used so much and across so many different ways. And to show you that, I kind of want to just show you his theme normally, and then just kind of show you the variants that they added into the game over time. And it's actually, like, a lot of people agree in World of Warcraft that it's actually one of the best motifs in the game is Anduin's theme. So here's a taste of it, real quick. Let it load up here. So you see, it's just a very like gentle. It's the like his motif is that da na 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 da da da. Sorry, I don't actually I don't have a singing voice, so it probably sounds horrible, but you get the point. So that's his theme there. But here are some variations of that theme that, again, you hear throughout the game in different areas. So this is actually the more triumphant version of his theme right here. see, like, same theme, but even it was more intense with that one because that's like a triumphant version of it. And then, of course, in the most recent cinematic, which is the War Within cinematic that I was showing you guys in the last episode, where he's broken and he's kind of shattered and doesn't really know what to do. They use his theme again in a brilliant moment when Thrall says that he trusts him, and it just so much emotion in it, so much emotion. So I'm gonna play that again just to show you that moment as well. And the music's still playing. So let's take a look at that moment and how they use the same motif, the same theme, but in a different way to just elicit so much more emotion from the scene.
I trust you.
So see, like, the fact that you could use that same motif in so many different ways is what just makes music in video games so cool. And of course, I know it's not just limited to video games. In movies, like, characters have themes and motifs too that carry on with them. But in video games, I seem to catch them more in video games than I do in music. Like, hearing the same theme in a different way, in a different twist. And so, other than that, I mean, World of Warcraft has a lot of other really great themes, and some that were even kind of surprising. So, for example, there's this one theme, which is, let's see, where is it? Do I have it still loaded here? I guess I don't have it loaded here. Nope. But yeah, there's so many great themes that World of Warcraft has that are just so catchy and so interesting. There's this one area, Grim Batol, which is like you're underground. It's an old Dwarven city, and again, you're like fighting, dragons and stuff like inside Grim Batol. But the theme you're listening to is this. That is one of my favorite themes from Cataclysm, because it's just like you're in this underground city, and just like that music gives you a sense of scale, like almost like echoing through the city, the halls of the city. It's just like, it's such a good theme. And I like too that, again, you're inside a dungeon and stuff like that, so you think that it would be like hardcore and stuff like that, but no, it's real gentle, just the strings and all that kind of stuff just leading into it. But anyway, so that's enough about World of Warcraft. So we talked about Marty O'Donnell, we talked about World of Warcraft a little bit. I also forgot to mention that the Anduin's theme from World of Warcraft, it was Neil Acree and Sam Cardone who composed that theme. So great job with that, guys. So lastly, this is kind of a fun one because I love this composer so much. So I just needed to talk about him in the last 10 minutes here. One of my favorite games growing up as a kid on the N64 was the game Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie. A lot of you probably know it is The Bear and the Bird. It's a platformer game. It's all fun and, colorful and all that kind of stuff. But the composer for that game series, Grant Kirkhope, is one of my favorite composers of all time. And that's because the way he does his music is so well done and specific to every situation, every level. And what's cool is, like, when he made a theme for a level, he didn't just make the main theme, he made variations of that theme throughout the level. So if you're in the main area, you're hearing the main theme. If you're in a dark cavern area, it's the same theme, but darker. If you're underwater, it's the same theme, but it's being played with a xylophone, like a different instrument. If you're fighting a boss, it's the same theme, but it's, harsher and stuff like that. And so I kind of wanted to show you just a glimpse of some of the stuff that he did. And I'm going to use this one as an example because you can hear it so much easier than, well, not, I wouldn't say easier. It's just, you'll just see. Okay, so kind of going crazy here. This is my first time doing the show with my laptop over here, so it's kind of hard to be paying attention to like all 4 areas when normally I'm just talking to the camera. So I apologize if I seem a little disoriented. But this is the theme from Banjo-Tooie for the level Glitter Gulch Mine. And of course, Glitter Gulch, you're in a mine. It's very like kind of, miner, like centric, like old school, like prospector kind of, attitude. And you'll hear that in the theme. But then I'm going to show you all like several variations of it in that same level. So here's the theme from Glitter Gulch Mine. And now, here's that same level, but when you go into a dark cavern. But let's say, you're not in a dark cavern. Let's say you're racing a canary on a minecart really, really fast paced. Well, then you get... Also, kind of on a side note, like a lot of those instruments that you hear in these songs are all played by Grant Kirkhope. Like, he's not just a great composer, but he is like skilled with almost every possible instrument you can think of. So there's another example of it. And then this is for the boss for that level, and you're going to hear the same exact motif, the same theme, but now remixed for a boss battle. It's so amazing, like the kind of work that he does, just remixing things. And again, if you've never heard the entire soundtrack from Banjo-Kazooie or Banjo-Tooie, I'd say check it out. If you have any interest in like video game music and different compositions and different ways to like remix stuff, I would definitely say check that out. Now, one more game that he did for the N64 was, of course, Donkey Kong 64. And there's a specific level in there that, again, shows Grant Kirkhope and how he utilizes his instruments and his sound effects into his, end composition. And so this is for the level Frantic Factory, which is basically like a toy factory, but it's all dark and dingy and, gross. And this is the theme for that level. And the most important part to think about it is just imagine yourself in like almost like an old rundown haunted toy shop. Now, the thing to notice with that theme is that it starts with the cranking of a music box. And then you hear the music box too, the doo 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 doo. But you're also hearing like gears turning, like an actual music box, like with a dancing ballerina. But it's incorporated into the theme. And as the song goes on, you know, the music box will die out and it will continue with the theme. But then every time he wants to bring the music box back in, he doesn't just bring the tune back in. He re-adds the like the cranking of it, and so it's just constantly just adding this, almost like someone just cranking it and playing it right there on the spot instead of just like letting it go in and out freely. He adds that little ambiance effect of just like the cranking of the music box, and it's just so well done. And another example of him using music to perfectly describe a situation is the boss battle for that level, which is a giant deranged Jack-in-the-Box that's coming after you. Actually, one of the hardest bosses in the game, you know, especially when you were a kid, because you had to constantly be jumping around because he's basically bouncing after you. And this theme was perfectly done to represent just the anxiety and the stress of that boss battle. So here we go. So again, like that laughter from the boss is actually mixed into the music. So you don't have to see the boss actually laughing or moving and stuff like that. It's just you're constantly, as you're being chased by him, hearing that laughter, like that psychotic, like laughter. And it's just so, it adds to the atmosphere, just makes it so much great. Anyways, we're almost out of time already because I could just go on talking about music forever and ever. But a couple other things with Grant Kirkhope that's just so crazy is he actually did music for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, which is interesting because usually for Super Smash Bros., when you have all those characters and all those franchises, they actually just composed all of that music in Japan, like remade and remixed all the original themes. He was the only Western composer that Smash Brothers reached out to when they added Banjo-Kazooie into the game that said, we need you to make the theme for it because we're not going to touch that because that is your baby. And I'm like, talk about respect. Like, that is just so cool. Anyways, that's all I can fit in here. I might have to come back to another episode of doing music because I feel like we didn't cover half of what makes video game music so interesting and so unique. So maybe next time I'll do a little bit more. So again, guys, thank you for watching this episode of Do You Have a Moment? I appreciate you guys sticking around. This was filmed at Studio 519 downtown in Albuquerque. And thank you so much. And I'll see you guys next time.
I'll